A very warm welcome, everyone. We welcome you on the 5 days national level faculty development program on inclusive, innovative, value education and NEP. I welcome you on behalf of the Research Culture Society, International Scientific Research Organization, in collaboration with Government Science College, Chota Udaipur, affiliated to Sri Govind Guru University, Godhra, Gujarat, India. We once again welcome you all. I request the operator to play the video on this regard.
Society is a government-registered scientific research organization. Society is working for the research community at national and international level to impart quality and non-profitable services. Our members are scholarly educationists from various universities and institutes of repute. Here the faculties, research scholars and students interested in the area of research are given guidance and support in how their work can contribute to the betterment of our present and future generations. Research Culture Society is conducting conferences, seminars, symposiums, workshops, training, and development programs on different themes. Society has organized 100+ educational programs successfully at national and international level in association with different educational institutions. Also published selected research papers as journal special issues and book proceedings. Society is running international level referred, peer-reviewed journals with ISSN and books publication with ISBN. Educational institutions, colleges, universities are being welcomed for Memorandum of Understanding and collaboration to organize events. Society is promoting and sponsoring educational events as well as publishing research work in collaboration. The Society also offers membership. The journals associated with Research Culture Society are referred, indexed, and with high impact factor. Society journals are publishing research papers, articles in all major fields and subjects related to sciences, health sciences, engineering, agriculture, pharmacy, commerce, management, social sciences, arts, humanities, education, law and life skills. Journals provide publications and digital identification with a nominal processing charge. Research Culture Society also provides print and online book publications with ISBN. Society invites book publication in all study subjects and categories. Thesis converted into book and conference proceedings publication also available. Research Culture Society arranges special lectures on soft skills, communication skills, personality development, behavior improvement, human resource development, career development, general knowledge improvement, environmental issues, and improvement, etc. in different institutions, colleges, universities, and schools. The Society bestows excellence and achievement awards in different categories as US Awards, SRA Awards. Thank you. For further details, visit our website.
On behalf of Government Science College, Chota Udaipur,
This meeting is being recorded.
We have gathered here online on a wonderful interaction of spanning 5 days, starting from 16th March to 28th March 2022. We would be meeting for 2 hours, that is from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. I would like to introduce what this faculty development program is all about. Teaching and learning activities have undergone a sea change in recent years. Technological development and rapidly changing industry requirements are demanding innovative and outcome-based teaching is an amalgamation of technical skills, judgment, and technology. The 5-day faculty development program on inclusive, innovative, and value education and NEP has been conceived to broaden the understanding and practice of advanced and innovative methods of teaching learning in higher education, focusing on the overall outcome. The FDP will address the themes including innovative pedagogical practices, innovative, holistic, and inclusive teaching practices, life skills, and value-based education, equity, and inclusion. learning for all, and education policy and administration for greater impact in teaching learning. We look forward to finding these outcomes from this FDP, that's to state with understanding and of innovative approaches and assessment of teaching in higher education institutions, learning hands-on techniques and tools to attain the desired outcome for a specific course, understanding of the application of research and case-based learning in regular classroom delivery, understanding and learning the key concepts of outcome, mapping and assessment design, understanding of employing artificial intelligence based tools and techniques in regular classroom delivery. We once again welcome you all. Moving further without much ado, let me introduce to you our today's guest, the resource person, Dr. Kalpana Dikshit. We do have Kalpana Dikshit here from Bhopal. Dr. Kalpana Dikshit is presently working as a professor at Columbia Institute of Educational Management since 2018. She is a PhD in Educational Administration and Management and a postdoctoral fellow of Columbia University. She has 25 years of experience in teaching, training, and research with 300 research papers at national and 15 at international level, and 5 books on different areas of educational sciences to her credit. She has guided 10 candidates for PhD in educational sciences, and she is a lifetime and executive member of different organizations and have 4 honorary doctoral degree in human rights, social cause, global peace, and cognitive achievement. She is a certified NLP leadership leadership ICC certified counselor too. Her area of interest are inclusive education, cooperative learning, education leadership, and blended learning, and much more. She has completed 2 research projects on inclusive education funded by NCERT. Dr. Kalpana Dikshit is teaching inclusive education, educational technology, and educational research. Ma'am, we wholeheartedly welcome you on behalf of the organizing committee. We welcome you once again. We look forward to gaining much knowledge from your delivery in this interaction. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank the Director, Research Society, and the coordinator of the program, and all the participants. I am hereby welcoming you all, and I hope that you will definitely enjoy the session and interactive discussion also. So I am Dr. Kalpana Dikshit from Columbia University, and you have already heard all my introduction here. So our today's topic is inclusive education, pedagogy, and value as per the NP, National Education Policy. So here I would like to start my discussion with some curious questions from the participants that I think you all have been very much aware about the inclusive education. The concept of inclusive education is very new. Before this, all the specialized students were be teaching through a segregated system that was called as a special education. But nowadays, when it was perceived that there are a little deficiencies in the special children, as well as some deprived group are also, so why don't they integrate in the common classroom with the normal students? Because the right of education is the more important, and the human right is also very much valuable nowadays. So what happened when we frame the national curriculum framework of Government of India, Education, Minister of Education, and when we have decided the national policy of education, so we have focused more on inclusive education because we have already very much popular schemes of universalization of education, and elementary education is to be highlighted there. And what we found that if we integrate the system of education in inclusive manner, then definitely these child will also get proper emotional, physical, and social development with the normal student in the normal classroom. Though there are some difficulties in inclusive education with the normal students due to some infrastructural barriers, due to some facility trained due to the lack of trained faculty, and due to the specialized skilled counselor or the special educator in the school premises. So it was found that if we collaborate and partnerships with all those who are involved with the special education and as well as with the normal education. So with the collaborative practices, we can implement this inclusive education system very effectively in the present education scenario. So it was decided to observe some barriers and how to remove these barriers in the school education system. For that, there was a committee was set up, and the expert of the committees from the NCERT and the different education sectors of India as well as from abroad also. So they have given some proposals and recommendations to include the inclusive education in the current and normal curriculum. And by removing all the barriers, they have introduced the inclusive education in the regular classroom. Though there are some experts available to design the school also, there are some curriculum experts available to define the curriculum according to the need of the deprived group as well as the special group. And though there are some scientific experts also, so that they can understand psychosocial development of the children. So, dear friends, I think you will definitely enjoy. So now I would like to share my screen and we will discuss briefly what is this inclusive education and how do we implement this in practical situation with all the barriers and hurdles in the inclusive education. We have tried to reach each and every student. We are trying to reach every unreached student there. So I am sharing my screen here. Program on inclusive, innovative, value education and NEP. This is organized by Government Science College, Chota Udaipur, and affiliated to Shri Govind Guru University, Godhra, Gujarat, and also supported by the India and Research Culture Society. So here I am sharing my screen. This is my first slide. What is the meaning of inclusion? That I have already started the discussion here. According to the UNESCO, inclusive means including all children who have been left out or unable to access education due to human diversity, or children with disabilities or other disadvantaged group such as SC, ST, gender religious minority. Inclusive also means that as the teachers, we have the responsibility to enable inclusion of children with disability and mobilize all available support from school and education system, the communities, families, children, beside other resources at community level. A recommendation of NEP 2020. The policy also aims to recruit special educators in all schools complexes to make sure that teaching is more inclusive and cognizant at the needs of children. Children with benchmark disabilities will be allowed to opt for homeschooling and would be provided with skilled homeschooling educators so that they can still learn and acquire the best educational facilities. Further, teachers will be trained to identify learning disabilities in children early on and to help children with children with learning disability succeed in education and take care of their mental health. National assessment system, national assessment systems or PARAC will be formulated to create equitable system of assessment for children with learning disability. Alternate models for schooling are proposed to advance this objective. Sure, आ रहा बहुत. हाँ, an inclusive approach to quality education for all. An inclusive approach, EFA, means focus on disability rights, inclusive education, UPA, Universal Primary Education. And in the center, there are our main motto, our main vision of the NEP 2020 is education for all. That is here. Now, inclusive quality education key features. Inclusive national policy development, teacher education, inclusive learning environment, and healthy and well required students, child to child, principals and pupils' voice, and adequate finance for salaries, books, furniture, braille, science, and language, etc. Locally relevant and accessible curriculum and fair assessment process, early childhood care and development, parents and community engagement in education, positive attitude at all levels, including inclusive national policy, development, teacher education and development, inclusive learning environment. These are the basic key features of inclusive quality education. And now, important components of inclusive learning friendly environment. What are they? Number one, relationship with children. That is very much important. Teacher develop a friendly rapport with children and is sensitive to the specific needs of children. Example, making a child with hearing impaired to sit here and she can see the teacher and the board, providing peer support to visual impairment child, etc. This is the few example. This type of relationship can be built in the classroom during inclusive teaching and learning. Number two is that course in inclusive education. Cross Disability Block 2, Pedagogy for Inclusive Education, and Composition of the Classroom. What type of composition will be there? Teacher children with diverse ability. This should be composition there. And parents or other volunteer should be support the inclusive practices. Special educators and specialized seating arrangements must be there. Now, if we ask about the seating arrangement, then it is a key factor in the learning process of where you make the child sit in rows or semicircle to enable proximity and to participation of all children, especially keeping in mind children with disabilities such as hearing impaired children and children with visual impairment so that they can see the board and the teacher clearly. A child or hear clearly, a child with intellectual disabilities can be provided with adequate attention by the teacher. So seating arrangement is most important factor according to disability and deficiency of the child, and according to the specialized needs of the child, we can make the sitting arrangement in the inclusive classroom. Then learning, what will be the pattern of learning? Strategies for active engagement through a range of different styles are used at various points throughout lessons and active learning approach, which creates link at various points throughout the lesson, and active learning approach, which creates with prior knowledge and understanding, are active and enjoyable in creative learning environment. Of course, it is also improve the daily life of the children. And what type of learning resources will be there? Learning resources use a variety of material for all subjects such as maths and material made from newspaper or poster and based language class. Children can also bring resource from home to participate in the learning. Now, the concept of inclusion. The concept of inclusion first gained recognized in Canada, followed by the USA and Great Britain. In India, the Government of India launched the Integrated Education for Disabled Children IADC program in 1974. This was the first formal step towards inclusion. But at that time, the inclusion was not completely acquired because there was semi-inclusion type of process and program were there. In fact, even as early as 1966, the Kothari Commissions had highlighted the importance of educated children with disabilities in regular classroom, and ultimately this was implemented in the new education policy in 2020. And the Salmansa Statement UNESCO in 1994 for action on special needs education has been identified as the international breakthrough for inclusion, leading to a paradigm shift in education. Here, we will discuss the key principle of inclusive education. You are watching a diagram. There are four circles. One circle indicating inclusion. Inclusion means all type of students in a single class. And the below number one circle, second row of first circle, that is indicated exclusion, where only the normal kids are in the classroom and other specialized and disadvantaged children are out of the class in a separate group. Then segregation. All the normal children in one class and all the specialized and disadvantaged children in one group out of the class. That was very much panic and have adverse impact on the child's social and mental health. And then integration. In the integration, what the system did, they have put all the students in a single class, but there are two groups in one class, one for normal and second for disabled or special or disadvantaged children. That was also not supported as per the human rights and as per the right of education. So So, on the basis of this, we will discuss the key principle of inclusive education. Number one, principle of togetherness. सब एक साथ रहेंगे, सब एक साथ पढ़ेंगे. Then, principle of equality, समानता का सिद्धांत. Principle of participation, सबका भाग लेना, सबको साथ में पढ़ना. Principle of acceptance, accept normal students should accept their disadvantaged friends and their disabled friends in the normal classroom. Then rejection of special classroom. The first condition, there should not be any specialized or special classroom. There must be a well-designed and well-defined single classroom for all types of children. Then individual differences. We have to consider their disability with their ability in both field and which field they are very much intelligent and what is their strength and what are their weakness. So we have to focus on the individual differences. Then opposite of exclusion. We cannot support exclusion, a separate group from a normal classroom. Then principle of change. We have to change our mindset. We have to change our perception. We have to change our attitude toward disabled children and the disadvantaged children. Then the inclusive education setup. What type of setup will be there? Inclusive education setup refers to equitable and non-discriminatory arrangement where each child is valued, accepted, and respected. Every child gets equal opportunity of participation in all those activities that suit her capability. School conduct curricular, co-curricular activities necessary for developmental needs of all students as per their interest. And school inclusive setup helps in building a community, nurturing and confronting environment where each child can acquire academic and social skills with a positive attitude and values. So here in inclusive education setup, we must refer that there should be non-discriminatory arrangement in the classroom, their culture, their curriculum, their content, methodology of teaching, and as well as the attitude and behaviors of peers, as well as attitude and behaviors of the teacher, so that each and every child can get the equal opportunity of participate in actually every type of activities of the classroom. And also, there must be some specialized curricular and co-curricular activities like music, dance, drama, fine art, craft, and language learning through different audio and visual measures so that every child should take part in all type of activities of the classroom. So if we define and design this type of inclusive education setup, then we will definitely reach up to our goal of NEP 2020 for education to all. Here, some common myths about inclusive education. So I will explain you the myths whatever are existing in the society and in our school system. And there are some actual facts that deny all the myths already exist. Number one, the myth number one is segregation is better. Now, my reply is that inclusion is the best educational program since it allows individuals to develop as per their abilities. It also inculcates values like caring and sharing. Number two, myths. Inclusion is an expensive option. Some people are blaming inclusive education. They said that this is a very expensive because we have to arrange some extra material and teaching learning equipment, as well as we have to design our furniture according to the disabled. So they are saying that inclusion is an expensive option. But what I said, it is an affordable way to provide the most equitable solution to the learner. Then inclusive education is just another fad. Some people say, and some so-called educators said that it is a fad. No, it is not a fad. It is a concrete way of understanding the individual differences and reaching out to them. It is practiced in regular schools by modification of learning strategies and ways of delivering the content. The another myth is that non-cooperative parents. They said that we are trying to launch our inclusive education program in our school, but the parents are not cooperative, so we are excluding the child. This is not the proper way, because when parents see a visible change in the children, they are ready to render their full support and help. So you have to show your commitment. You have to provide the policy, program, and apparatus, techniques, tools, so that parents can influence and impact it very much. And they will definitely support the inclusive education system in the classroom. And other myths is that people with disability are and unfortunate dream on the society. This is very common. People are saying that they can't do anything, they have no capacity, they are physically deprived, they are mentally not developed, and they cannot be study with our children. So this is the biggest trauma in our education system, that they should not accept the individual differences of a child, the individual capacity and potential of the child, because the disabled children also contribute substantially to the society by excelling in their areas if they will get the good inclusive education practices. What are the changes to be adopted? There are many changes I have discussed before also. So I can say in concrete way that in an inclusive school must adopt changes in its overall structure in such a way that it becomes a part of the school culture. These changes are at various levels. Example is infrastructural changes. We have to arrange, organize, and manage the furniture, blackboard, computer equipment according to the type of disability and according to the need of the disabled child. Then curriculum based, we have to revise our content, we have to modify the content which are not supported the inclusiveness in the classroom. So we have to define and design new types of curriculum that our National Council of Education, Research and Training, NCRT, has been already done with the help of the expert in the field of special education and education. Then pedagogical changes. We have to define and decide our specific methods. We have to use different types of equipment in the classroom. We have to provide audio visual resources to our disabled children. And we have to support them in their slow way of teaching and learning by giving them special attention and by reducing their content itself. And classroom manage, we have to manage our classroom according to the need specialized group. If they are visually impaired, we have to provide them front side seat. If they are hearing impaired, we have to provide some headphone and other device to listen the lesson of the teacher. And sports and cultural events also, we have to invite them to participate in the light level of sports for which they are suitable and they can support. Like we can provide them the facilities of indoor game itself. Then community level program. We should conduct some community level program We can encourage the community people to do volunteer services at the school if they are educated and they learn the individual differences, and if they are ready to support these specialized children, so we can get the community support also. Then assessment, we have to define and design different type of assessment practices. The child who is visually impaired, we can give them the special type of notebook and special type of question so that they can write their answer, or we can give them the oral assessment also. This type of assessment and transformation assessment can support inclusive education very much. Then role of a school leader for inclusive culture. What type of role a school leader can do? This is adopting a zero refusal policy. A school must categorically announce the number of seats reserved for CWNS and admit all such children if they approach it for the admissions. Then building a culture for inclusion in the school by adopting changes in curriculum, pedagogy, co-curricular activities, and assessment to implement inclusion as a basic right to teach child. Create a well-defined, age-appropriate, child-centered, differentiated curriculum at the primary level for the different able learners, such that a lot of emphasis is on self-help skills. The academic goal would be based on how beneficial it would be for the individual in future life, providing the least restrictive environment for achieving maximum learning outcomes by following all the infrastructural and pedagogical norms. So these are the role school leader can take part in school inclusive culture, because as the school leader will be ready to implement all these policy provisions and support at their school, definitely they will encourage their teacher to participate in that, and they will definitely get the support from the community itself. Then what will be the strategies for inclusion? There are many strategies for inclusive education. I have highlighted here some few of them. Number one, involving all stakeholders, including professionals, social workers, and organizations and parents in the education of their world. You should take the cooperation as well as support of all the experts of the field, as well as community involvement of social workers and other organizations is also essential. And if you involve parents in inclusive education, that will definitely create an impact on the society. It is very much important to include the parents at every step of planning, as they are the permanence in the child's life, because parent is very much aware about the deficiency and strength of their child. They know what are the case studies, the background behind her or his impairment, and how can they are tackling them in their home or in the uh, family situation or in family life. How do they behave? How do they react? So if parents can support this inclusive education policy and cooperate with the school, then definitely the inclusion will be very much easy to adopt. And their priority, strengths, and competencies would determine the success and failure of the plans made for the child. So, what are the priorities? What are the strengths? And what are the competency? All these factors are very much supportive to the success of the this inclusive education, or if the deficiency, strengths, and competency are not known in advance, so the program will also become failure. So it is very much important to get the support from the parents and designing well-structured wellness skill development program to prepare child for the future, because they have to adopt in the society as a skilled person after completing their education. So we have to also define and design the mental health, physical health program there. We have to define and design some skill development program there for what they are easily do their development, and they also prepare themselves for their future life. And any skill development program starts with independence in self-help skills. So self-help skill like language development, communication, soft skill is also important to survive in the future place of work or in future society. Now, what are the objectives of doing all these practices? Why we are doing inclusive education in the normal school situation? Because catalyzing the meaningful and successful inclusion of all students by accepting the diverse learners and letting them assimilate with all children, connecting classroom to real life through focus on differentiated, experiential, and reflective teaching learning methodology. There are different types of methodological practices there. The participants who are already teacher training have done their teacher training program or have been exposed to different types of teaching methodology. They are very much aware about the experiential project method, reflecting teaching and learning methodology, and differentiated project method also. So all these are very much impactful in inclusive classroom because they gives opportunity to work in a group and in collaborative manner that will make the child also preferable in their particular group so that they can develop their emotional and psychological development properly. Nurturing young mind to get the skills and 20 life skill as well as 21st century skills and soft skills. These are very important nowadays to make the pupils effective and influential at workplace so that since the disabled and disadvantages are also a part of our society, so we must develop them as per the norms of the normal student and the normal citizens of our country, our society, and human beings of the community. And developing teachers' competency for inclusive education by continuous professional development. This is the most important aspects or objective of inclusive education because there are a lack of trained and expert professional in specialized education and different type of life skill, communication skill, and 21st century skill. So that until unless we cannot train our teacher, we cannot develop our teacher, and we cannot give them opportunity for professional development. So we cannot implement our inclusive education policy in the education system for quality for education to all. Then strategies to promote inclusive culture in schools. So how can we do this? Creating an inclusive approach through continuous efforts of teachers, administrators, staff, parents, and students is important to establish a positive school culture, inculcating empathy, respect, generosity among the students by treating them the way they want and need to be treated. So, inclusive culture is very much important for a successful implementation of any inclusive education, because many times it has been observed that many peer group or many friends or supportive students, they are what they do, they are teasing their disabled partner, or they are not accepting in their group. So at school, it is very much important to create a culture of education. Fostering full participation in all school activities, identifying and removing barriers, orienting all stakeholders for successful implementation of the program by organizing capacity building workshops, seminars for sensitizing teachers, students, and parents, designing and implementing inclusive classroom practices and curriculum. So, what we can do when we orient the teacher, staff, community, and parents, so we must orient them according to new norms and practices, according to new technology, and according to the new methods of teaching and training, so that they can become a sufficient and a skilled professional. So they can implement the inclusive education effectively in their classroom, and that will be beneficial to all. So different types of works now, so workshops, seminars, conferences, and like this, the faculty development programs are very much important to sensitize all the stakeholders and supportive community. Now, fostering full participation in all school activities, identifying and removing barriers. What can we do? By the side of we are promoting inclusive culture in the school, we can also motivate the participation of the learner to participate in all type of school activities, so that they can integrate very much with their peers and they can get the support from them. Now, making teaching and learning accessible to all. How can we do that? Teachers and educators at school must ensure that whatever they teach must reach the weakest child in the classroom. Because I mean to say that they should not go at very high level of content, or they should not go at very low level of content. They should define and design their content as per the need of a normal child with the specialized child also. And the following measures can be incorporated to make teaching effective. As far as using multiple strategies to present content, teachers should enhance instruction through the use of case studies, music, role play, cooperative learning, hands-on activities, field trips, guest speakers, web-based communication, and educational software. So there are many types of teaching learning strategies we can adopt in the classroom, because case study is a psychological method that can inform the trainer or the educator or the teacher about all the background of the child. So it is very much useful in inclusive education if we collect the case study of each and every child, those who are the part of the inclusive education system. Then music. Music is also important teaching method. Role play. Role play is a teaching method where we have to bring some specialized type of disabled person, those who have achieved their highest peak in their career or the highest status in the society. So when they interact with the disabled children automatically will motivate to learn and keep them acquire all the skill and knowledge. And other method is that cooperative learning. Cooperative learning is a type of teaching method where they are working in a group and solve some type of specific puzzles and also do some group activities there. And field trips, as you all know, out of the school or trip in the school or nearby places of the school, whether it is a historical place or some natural history resources like place, or some museum or some library or some temple. So there are some type of field trips can be organized by the school, and so that all the child collectively go and visit and discuss about that particular place. Now, the guest speaker is also important. Guest speaker from different fields can be invited at the school. Then web-based communication. In some disability cases, it is found that if we give them instruction through a normal message or through web-based communication or some SMS practices or some WhatsApp group also will be there. So web-based communication and technical communication is also important for the inclusive classroom. Then offering a choice of learning context by providing opportunities for individual, pair and group work, as well as distance learning, peer learning and field work will be beneficial. Pair group, as you know, we can pair a normal child with a disabled child, and they can support to each other to learn and develop. As well as we can do some distance learning program. If they are lag behind from the normal content of the classroom, we can deliver a lecture on their phone or on their desktop itself. And peer learning is also important. Then field work in the school ground or field work in the lab of the school or field work in the community is very much important to develop their psycho-social development. Then using multiple strategies to present content, what should be there? Case study, music, role play that I have been already explained to you all, cooperative learning, hands-on activities, then web-based communication and educational software, field trips and guest speaker. Then accessibility to school resource. How can they access the school resources? The very much important resource of the school is library. So how can they access the library? A special room with appropriate signage. Signage means the sign language and should be provided for people with hearing or vision impairment who need assistance while reading, and a helper or reader can also be provided in the library, and a separate corner will be provided to them so that they can read loudly according to their need. Then canteen. The school must ensure that the canteen is barrier free for all children. Responsibility for managing external accessibility issues should be allocated to appropriate supporting staff. Building program 1. What type of capacity building can be done for the school educator or faculty? In reaching professional competency to ensure a basic set of knowledge, understanding, and professional skills about children with disabilities in participating teacher. What we can do? In our professional development program, we can communicate all the concept about the inclusive education, all the knowledge and facts about the inclusive education, and all the competency which are required to make inclusive education effective and influential in the classroom. So we should design our competency building program according to these norms. Then teacher training courses must specify a process for calculation of standard teaching quotients. This is very important. STQ. Previously, what we did, we evaluated our child on the basis of their intelligence quotient, IQ, and that is not equal for each and every child. So this is standard teaching portion is very much important for catering to the learning needs of a diverse group of students. Some of the advantage for training may be so that they can assess themselves, they can evaluate their students effectively, and increasing awareness and attitudinal change through advocacy. And if we give them knowledge, if we support them all the content material, and if we develop the competency building program for them, but if they don't have attitude to support the special child, the inclusive program will not be successful. So through advocacy, we can change the attitude of the faculty and the professionals also, and creating competent professional through training to ensure requisite knowledge and skill to work in an inclusive environment, because they are very much habitual to work in the normal environment, and they are applying normal practices because they know that whatever we are teaching in the class, whatever content we are communicating in the classroom is sufficient in 35 or 45 minutes. Our students don't require any support or external help, but this is not necessary for the inclusive classroom. Teacher has to do very hard work. They have to do their practices of training during the inclusive classroom, and they have to support the disabled children and the disadvantaged children by giving their extra support and by giving their extra time. Then capacity building program 2, combined program between special educator and partners, and vocational education with interfacing with industry and internship. Then holistic wellness program, mental and physical. Then combined program between special educator and partners, vocational education with interfacing with industry and internship, holistic wellness program of mental and physical. So capacity building program 2 is very much advanced in nature because we have to take support from the special education as well as the partner organization, those who are already running their special school or special training institute in the cities or nearby the school, and vocational education for the skill development of the disabled or disadvantaged children with normal children. We have to take support from the vocational education trainer as well as vocational education training center can be associated with the school or institution also. Then there are some psychological and social deprivedness among the children because of their disability. They perceive themselves lag behind, and they have lose their confidence and self-esteem and self-respect also. So making this self-respect, self-esteem and self-confidence strong among the disabled and disadvantaged children, we have to take support of mental and physical health experts, some psychologists, some educators, some counselor also must be there to support them. Then vocational education with interacting with industry and internship. So some internship of their need according to their need and according to their skill, and some industry support for taking some equipment, for supporting some furniture, and for supporting some technical aids. So we can also collaborate with the industries also, those who are manufacturing this type of teaching aids and instrument for the school. Then holistic wellness program, mental and wellness, as I have already told you. So with the help of counselor, educator, or psychologist, we can first acquire the training and skill to handle this specialized children. Then we can include the inclusive education practices in our school perfectly. What are the role of special educator? Nowadays, when they are inclusive culture in the school, there is no specialized institution or there is no special educator. People are thinking that special educator has no scope in the inclusive system. So this is false because special educator is also a very much supportive to the inclusive system of education. How do they support? The special educator role is to build positive culture and plan with teachers the referral, assessment, and evaluation of students. How do they find a special child in their community or nearby the school? How they assess their ability, strength, or weakness, and how they evaluate. So the specialized trained special educator will support them definitely. The key responsibilities are providing appropriate information to teachers in advance to assist them in effective lesson planning, execution, and assessment, conducting sessions with teachers, peers, and parents to equip them with knowledge regarding disabilities and strategies, and making recommendations for REP considering the individual needs of the student. Then special educators fortifying life from behind the screen. This is the very important statement because the need and importance of special educator is always everywhere in all inclusive system of education. If they are trained in a specialized field of impairment, if they are field in specialized teaching learning methods for the impairment, or they are running their own institution, they are a good support for inclusive education system. Role of teacher. What are the role of teacher in inclusive education? Since the disabled and disadvantages group are in the same class with the same student, so teacher have the same responsibility and same duties as per the normal child. Like they should develop positive attitudes among all the children. They should identification of children with special needs can be done by the teachers also because they must be trained in some specialized course and qualification during their faculty development program. So it is assumed that teacher can identify the children with special needs and involving all students in every activity. This is the prime responsibility of teacher so that they cannot remove the disadvantaged or disabled children or special children from the classroom. They should involve and integrate all the children in the common activity with a perfectly planning co-curricular activities also. And collaboration with stakeholders. What are the collaboration? The stakeholder will support each and every activities of the school from providing infrastructure, from providing resources, from providing technology tools and other type of support to the inclusive system of education. Then suitable adoption curriculum. These things I have already discussed in detail. Where we have to modify, we have to revise, we have to change appropriate changes in our curriculum so that we can fit our disabled and disadvantaged children with the normal stream of education. Then preparing teaching aids. We have to prepare teaching aid. The teacher must prepare teaching aid with their originality, creativity, and critical thinking. They can adopt multiple type of teaching, whether the teaching aids are ready-made or they can develop by their home or they can develop through a workshop itself. Then adoption in evaluation. We cannot check the copy of the visually impaired children. So we have to do adoption in our evaluation practices. We can do some verbal evaluation, some mock test, some some project work activities, some out of the school activities also. So we have to adopt and modify our assessment so that we can give the equal grade to the disabled also as per the norms of the regular students. Then teaching using a variety of learning styles. As you all know, there are many learning styles in our classroom during our daily teaching and learning practices. So what are these learning styles? Teacher could build learning by giving instruction both orally and in writing so that they can support all type of learner. Then to engage students through both auditory and visual mediums. Materials such as online resources, videos, podcasts, PowerPoint presentation, and ebook may be used to present, illustrate, and reinforce new content. They could also consider using large visualize for slides, graphs, and charts. So these are the different types of learning styles and sources we can use for inclusive classroom. Then adaptive strategies in the classroom. What modification should be done? These are like that. Students in an inclusive classroom may require changing certain physical structure in the classroom like desk, chair, table, etc. Physical or infrastructural changes must be there. Then, to accommodate students with physical disabilities, adjusting the seating chart to allow a student with auditory problem to lip read more easily. What we can do? We can make a sitting chart so that according to the disability of the child, they can get proper knowledge of the content and they can hear the proper voice of the teacher and they can interact in all the classroom instruction on the basis of the seating arrangement. If we can change in our seating arrangement, they could be definitely beneficial for all type of learner. Then structuring the classroom time to time help students with behavior or learning disabilities and they feel more secure. So we have to change. We have to change the pair. We have to change the state. We have to change the friendship itself also in the classroom so that they can develop emotionally and socially itself. And students with weak reading or writing skills due to their disabilities can be helped if classes are recorded to allow students to study using auditory techniques. Many times it happens that if the student is visually impaired, he cannot see the blackboard or partially impaired, he can see only some part of the content on the blackboard and others are missed. And it is also happened if there is a minor auditory problem, they cannot hear the full content. So what we can do, we can provide the recording material of the lesson of a particular day so that they can hear the recording and fill the gap whatever they have missed in their learning process. Then they may also be allowed to dictate their responses, especially students who have visual disability. They must be allowed to dictate. How do they dictate? Either they respond their question verbally or they will be given a reader or writer so that they can read or write their question and answer itself. Students may also be given additional time to complete quizzes and exam. Be provided notes or outline if they have difficulty taking notes or be held responsible for less material. So this is also very much important when we are conducting some quiz or multiple choice questions or a longer essay type questions on the classroom. So because of their impairment, their speeds are very low to accommodate with the exam in the same time. So what we can do, we have to give them more time than normal students, and we have to support them by providing notes on outline if so that they can be complete their content and give the exam perfectly. Intellectual or learning disabilities. This particular type of disabled group, what facilities we can provide. Now here I am highlighting the specialized type of the group. Number one is intellectual or learning disability. If a child is intellectually is lacking behind or in disabled position of their IQ, then what we can do? Students who have intellectual or learning disabilities will benefit from a well-designed approach that reduces visual and auditory distractions, like students passing through nearby corridors and from noisy sports or music activity. So if there are this type of distraction, we can provide a separate corner to the student so that they can not be distracted by, or by the outside of noise. Many times students are running in the corridor or playing in the playground. So this intellectual learning disability students are grasping the content in uh, slow way, so they will distract very easily. So it is very much important to make them appropriate facility and to provide a separate corner for their learning. Then difficulties with remembering and concentrating. If a student is lag behind in remembering or concentrating, so what we can do? Students who have difficulties with remembering and concentrating will also benefit from reduced distraction. They may need access to assistive technology such as laptop with specialist software or to help them manage their learning process. Then students who have speech disability, what can we provide them? Students who have speech disabilities may need alternative ways to communicate with their teachers and their peers. They may require classroom designed to facilitate the use of computers with assistive technology and or a suitable acoustic environment that avoid or reduce noise distraction. You all are very much aware about the acoustic environment. That is a specialized type of shade from which the sound will not be entered in the classroom. Okay, so students who have this speech difficult disability, we can provide them acoustic environment itself. Then students who use hearing aids, so what we can do? We will support them by a range of technological solutions in the classroom, including radio aids, sometimes called personal FM system also, and induction loop system, infrared transmitter, and classroom sound field system. So these are some specialized equipment and techniques for inclusive classroom where we can support the hearing impaired child. And the other one is the most important adaptation that can be made to classroom structure, however, is by fostering a feeling of inclusion and diversity as a positive ideal in a classroom, encouraging students to work together in diverse groups and allowing each student to shine in her way. What type of curriculum planning according to this type of specialized children? Multi-level curriculum. What is this? Students work at different levels but in the same subject areas. Like there are a particular subject X. There are units from 1, 2, 3, 4. So some students are on second unit, but the disabled student will be on first unit. So we can do their assessment on the basis of first unit, whether it is a first term exam, second term exam, or final exam. According to their speed and their learning needs, we can decide the multi-level curriculum planning for inclusion. Then curriculum overlaying. Students have different curriculum areas but are involved in same activity. So we can conduct the collective activity for different subjects at one time. This is curriculum overlaying that can be done very effectively in humanistic and language classes. Then alternative curriculum. What is this? Students are involved in some substitute activities to meet the primary instructional needs when the team feels that the general curriculum 2B is not appropriate for the child. Activities followed in the alternative curriculum are performed in the classroom. So we can utilize some alternative curriculum also, alternative curriculum like that if the disabled or disadvantaged child has difficulty in learning science or math. So we can support a curriculum of fine art or some activity or other curriculum of the some like that linguistic activity. Now we can conduct some debate or poetry competition or quiz rather than teaching them continuously science which they are not interested or they are not supposed to learn effectively. Teaching methodology as per the National Policy of Education, UDL need based, experiential project based, differential instruction, collaborative, and reflective teaching. These are the most important teaching methodologies suggested by the National Policy of Education. Here in this slide, there is a message together everyone achieve more. This is team. Team is explained like T stands for together, E for everyone, A for achieve, and M for more. Why? Because this is supportive to the body as a sole partner. Body means pairing of the student, one-to-one pairing of the learner. A body can be paired in several ways. New admission with older students, a low achiever with a high achiever, behavioral challenging with adults, quiet child with a talkative child, academically bright with one having academic difficulty. So pairing of children, pairing of learning is very much important to make the inclusive education successful because they are similar in the age group but different in the development span. So together everyone achieve more. This is the teamwork. Assessment. Taking into account different learning styles and according to the learning objectives and the outcome, multiple methods of assessment should be used, like visual, for example, preparing presentation, maps, diagram, model, project. Rather than writing answer of a particular question, they should be given some visual assignment, and on the basis of these assignments, they can be assessed in the exam or in regular activities of the school. And these visual activities are preparing presentation, maps, diagram, models, and project, etc. Then information and communication technology. You all very much aware of this type of assessment process where mobile phones, laptops, and tablets will be used for online assessment of the learner. Then observation, natural, participant, and non-participant. We can observe in the classroom, in their daily activities. We can observe at the playground, at the laboratory, or any community or school activities or co-curricular activities. We can assess or evaluate the competency of the special children on the basis of observation also. So this is my today's presentation, and I am now stopping my screen sharing, and we will on board to discuss your queries, and we will do some activities also that I will be shared in the chat box itself. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your brief presentation.
Yes, sir. Hello, audience. How do you feel now?
Now, participants
What
are
is your
requested to
feedback?
unmute yourself one by one. You can raise your question or queries. Madam will start question query session and some activities.
Either you can ask question or we can discuss interactive, whatever you like. I want to interact you all.
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead. Now participants are unmuted.
First you tell your name, please.
Ma'am, myself Dr. Shweta Smrita Soy from University of Burdwan, West Bengal, Education
Very
Department.
Mm-hmm.
Ma'am, I have one question. Madam, what in NEP 2020, they mentioned that selected educational zone will be helpful for inclusion and equity. So, ma'am, what is the role of this selected educational zones?
Which zone?
Selected SEZ, madam. Selected educational zone.
Yeah. Selected educational zone is a specialized teaching learning equipped resource center in each and every school where the special children will go and learn according to their need. There are many technological equipment and resources are there. There are advanced type of books and text and content are there. There are some visual chart and posters are also there. So this is like a resource center for inclusive education.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, anyone? Anyone else? If you have any doubt or query, you can also ask me on WhatsApp itself or on my mail also. And if you want some special training for that, you can also write me. So then I will provide you the contact person and the resource center so that you can get all the specialized knowledge of this inclusive education itself. Okay. And you can interact me also my WhatsApp, email or contact number also. Are you ready to do some multiple choice question? Can I send you? Are you fed up now? Because you are also a learner. So learner cannot grasp after 45 minutes. This I know very much. Being a psychologist, I know that a learner can't grasp after 45 minutes.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, Ishwari Kamath.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. My name is Ishwari Kamath. I'm from Nyanganga College, Mumbai. I don't know, ma'am, how appropriate my question is here, but I felt that I should ask you this question. Ma'am, when these disabled students are concerned, even autistic students are, in this inclusive education?
Yes, autistic students also, okay, but they will learn in the same class with the help of the special educator, those who are expert in autistic psychology itself.
Yeah,
So
that's
they
very
require,
good, ma'am.
a normal teacher cannot teach them directly, but they require the help of a specialized teacher in the same classroom.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I wanted to ask, because they have means that particular teacher would require that psychological training, because their EQ is not getting connected like normal students, and they
Yeah,
get
because
like hurt a
they
lot.
have developmental issue. They have developmental issues, so they are psychologically, socially behind with a normal child. So they require a specialized teacher in the same setup. So they can understand their language, their body language, their motions, their emotions, and all their movements in the classroom itself.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And I really enjoyed your session, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We also enjoy your participation here, and I am ready to open to you all anytime, anywhere.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Any one of you?
Good afternoon, ma'am. This is Professor Agrawal from
Yes.
Session Fdp Iive Ma'am, actually, what we see that the disabled candidates or the students, they are a little bit low in confidence because at home their parents make them realize that you are different from others. So, is there anything in the new education policy that to involve those parents to change their behavior towards their children, disabled children?
Can you repeat your question, please? And in louder voice, please.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, it is generally seen that the disabled students are generally low in confidence.
Yes.
Particularly because their parents make them realize at their home that you are different from others.
Yes.
So, is there anything in the new educational policy to involve those parents to change their behavior towards their student, toward their child?
Yes, you are right. Many times parents are creating such type of environment at home so their child feel low and low confidence also. So if you were aware in my presentation that time, if you were already present, I have already told everything about the involvement of the parents. So let the parents must realize that their child are a special child, but this is not the deficiency, or this is not the abnormality in the child, because they are very good in some strength of their life span. They are very good in either in music or art or fine art, and they can learn in the same environment with the same normal children. So the realization of parents that yes, our child is disabled, but he is not less than other child, and he can be developed. Though it is also important that time will take in the development of that particular child, but they can develop according to a normal person and will survive in their life as a normal citizens.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. That's why it means a major role has to be played by the parents themselves. Then the role of the teachers or faculty members.
Bilkul. This is very important.
And that's why a prime minister has changed the words differently able instead of disabled.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, you are right. Realization is important.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. आपने FDP का WhatsApp ग्रुप नहीं ज्वाइन किया था? So I have sent my MCQ on the research culture group. Sir will forward you this MCQ, multiple choice question. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. If you have prepared any link, you can also share in the chat box.
Yeah, I am here on the Research Culture Society number because in FDP this is not on. People have not joined the FDP WhatsApp group. I think so. I know, so I have sent you, sir.
Yes, yes. One.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Saurabh Prakash. I'm a research scholar from ISEC University, Jharkhand.
Mm-hmm.
Ma'am, I'd like to share something that the problem of inclusive growth for the differently abled has not been taken by many researchers or professors because there are not many teachers who themselves are differently able at that stage, so they can understand the problems which are faced by the students. Is that so?
Yes, of course. This is very normal situation. So, I have already mentioned that the attitude change is very much important for the successful implementation of any inclusive education program. Otherwise, all these practices are failure because until unless you will not change your attitude for the disabled child, you cannot accommodate in their regular stream. Many research guides will not accepting the disabled students whether they are research scholar or highest level of achievement, but they are not accepting because they think they have their own vision. They will not progress according to our guidelines.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Same
that
thing. The
is like
problems are faced by the transgender persons also.
yes, this is very much. But nowadays there is a law for transgender also. So gradually people are accepting them. But now this will take a long time
Yes, ma'am.
to absorb this type of people in our normal community.
Yes, ma'am. There's one thing more. I think the inclusive development for many people means that only like the downtrodden, the BPL persons, they till now also they don't understand that there are many components, many people must be included in that. I think because after your teaching also, it gets a proper idea that okay, we have to include these people also. I think there's a limit on that also on about people thinking because their meanings too different. No? That's why.
Now, what is your question? Ask in one line itself.
Yes, ma'am. I am telling that inclusive development for
Mm-hmm.
many people means only that it's till the BPL persons only downtrodden. They are not including the disadvantaged or differently abled.
Yes, yes, yes. This is the advocacy and awareness programs are important for that. Because now in the inclusive education system with the disabled children, the disadvantages have been also included in the same normal class. So this is the lack of awareness, and we require a very strong awareness campaign, knowledge generating campaigns, and advocacy. Uh, to make the people aware about this, the concept of inclusive education.
Ma'am, do you think that are there many proper schemes for that, or there are limited schemes till now also for the differently abled?
No, actually, there are a limitation. I am not supporting fully because there are some technical expert job where they cannot work. But as per their skills and their developmental steps, they can do the job according to their requisite skill. Not in the high specialized skill. That will take a long time because we don't have this such type of facility there.
And also, ma'am, training also there's lack of training for the teachers also.
Yeah, competence building is very important for the teacher. Professional training is very important for all level of teacher, from primary to university level itself. Because if we are starting inclusion, then these type of students will definitely go to the university, colleges, and in research zone also from school. So all type of faculty is require a specialized training and competency building program.
Yes, ma'am. There's problem of lack of funds also. You can say that the government is not providing that much funds so that they can think about that because they have limited resources
Yeah,
themselves.
government has limited education budgets and they have to execute all the policy and program in that limited budget. But what I have already explained, that there must be some cooperation and collaboration with the industry, with the vocational education partner, and with other partners and parents and community specialized people also. So we can generate the fund with the cooperation and collaboration of different organizations, institutes, and pupils.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
हेलो
हेलो
मैडम नमस्कार।
नमस्कार
मैम मुझे एक चीज पूछनी थी कि हमारे यहाँ कुछ ऐसे बच्चे हैं जिसको मैंने नोटिस किया है कि उनको सुनाई नहीं देता है प्रॉपर, लेकिन
हाँ।
वो क्लास रेगुलर कर रहे हैं। तो मैंने उन बच्चों से पूछा, उनके पास ऐसा कोई सर्टिफिकेट नहीं है, तो क्या हम उनको डिसेबल कैटेगरी में रख सकते हैं?
नहीं, अगर इफ दे डोंट हैव सर्टिफिकेट यू कैन नॉट कैटेगराइज देम, नंबर 1.
Okay.
If they have some hearing impaired problems and you are observing in the classroom, so you just report the school counselor of your school, then they will contact the parent and definitely they will visit to a clinical expert to identify their visual impairments or hearing impairments. This is necessary for them to identify at initial stage.
Okay. At the time of admission, they have not given any certificate or any information regarding this. But during the class, I have observed some of the students who have the problem. I have asked the parents of them, but they say they have no idea of it and they did not get any certificate from the government body.
Actually, they must have idea, but they are not realizing the things. So that will be very dangerous for the child.
Yes.
Ultimately, their situation will be dangerous and will out of control after some time.
Now the student is studying the BSc.
But the counselor will convince them. I think that if your counselor is expert, they will definitely convince them.
Okay, I will convince.
You can also, during your PTM, parent-teacher meet or other interactive session with the parents, you can.
Okay, now the student is studying the BSc class. How she is promoted to this level? I don't have any idea of it.
What are they doing?
She is doing BSc. Now I have noticed that. She has passed 10th, 12th, whatever the classes. Now she is in BSc.
They are doing BSc. So that's good.
Yeah.
They have only hearing impaired problem. So ho sakta perhaps they might be hear their lesson through YouTube or other recorded source of learning. This is the main.
I have noticed that she is copying from another student during the class, and she's not responding anymore.
No, actually we think they are not doing the thing. Actually, sometimes they are generating some their own resources. Sometimes their parents help them to learn the concept or content. So perhaps they must be qualified at 10th and 12th with an average mark. So definitely they will get admission in the college itself, because the board exams are not